In exactly 5 years from today, you will be 5 years older. That is a biological certainty. But what isn't certain is where you'll be standing. Option A. You're 5 years deeper into a 40-year career grind, hoping the inflation doesn't eat your meager 401k match and praying for a 3% raise. Option B. You've executed a high-intensity 5-year money explosion strategy that has built a compounding engine so powerful it can effectively replace your paycheck for the rest of your life. Most people think early retirement requires decades of sacrifice. They've read the books that tell them to skip the lattes and wait until they're 65. But they're wrong. The math of wealth isn't linear, it's explosive. If you can commit to a specific 3-phase framework, what I call the 2-3-5 strategy, you can compress 30 years of wealth building into 60 months. I know it sounds impossible. I know the skeptics on r/financial independence will say you need 20 years. But today, I'm going to show you the cold hard math of the explosion phase. I'm going to give you the blueprint to build, accelerate, and erupt your net worth so that by year 5, your money is working harder than you ever did. The 40-year career isn't a law of nature, it's a failure of strategy. Let's fix yours. Calculating your freedom number. Before we start the clock, you need a target. You can't hit a bullseye you haven't drawn yet. In the FIRE community, we call this your freedom number. The standard math is the 25 times rule. You take your annual expenses and multiply them by 25. If you live a modest, disciplined life on $40,000 a year, your number is $1 million. If you want a bit more cushion at $60,000 a year, your number is $1.5 million. But for a 5-year sprint, we also look at yield. If you invest in dividend growth stocks or high-yield assets that return a 4% yield, you just need your portfolio to generate that $40,000 cash flow. Here is the secret the 40-year crowd misses. You don't necessarily need the full $1.5 million in 5 years to be retired. You need to reach the compounding point of no return. This is the point where your portfolio grows by more than you spent, even if you never add another dollar. Write your number down right now, whether it's $750K, $1 million, or $2 million. That number is the only thing that matters for the next 60 months. Now, let's look at the phases. Phase 1. Build. The habit machine. Welcome to the Valley of Disappointment. Years 1 and 2 are the hardest, the loneliest, and the least rewarding. This is the build phase. In these first 24 months, your goal is simple. Maximize the gap. You need to achieve a savings rate of 40 to 60%. I'm not talking about cutting coupons. I'm talking about income stacking and aggressive essentialism. You automate every single dollar into low-cost index funds or dividend aristocrats. If you can shovel $3,000 to $4,000 a month into the market, by the end of year 2, you'll have roughly $80,000 to $100,000. Now here's why 90% of people quit here. The math feels slow. You've sacrificed vacations, you've driven the old car, you've worked the side hustle, and you look at your account and see 90K. You think, I'm nowhere near $1 million, this isn't working. But you're wrong. You aren't building wealth yet. You are building the machine. As J.L. Collins notes in The Simple Path to Wealth, this phase is about the unseen momentum. You are accumulating shares with the little workers that will eventually do the heavy lifting for you. In phase 1, you are the hero. You are doing 95% of the work, and compounding is only doing 5%. Your job is to stay blind to the results and obsessed with the process. Eliminate lifestyle creep. Create a system, not a wish. If you can survive year 2 without quitting, you've already beaten the majority of the population. Phase 2. Accelerate. The snowball clicks. If phase 1 was about you working, phase 2 is where the heavy lifting shifts from your shoulders to your money's. By year 3, as you cross that $150,000 mark, an 8% return starts throwing off roughly $12,000 a year, which is essentially a $1,000 monthly raise you didn't have to beg a boss for. This is the crossover moment that investors on r/dividends live for. That surreal feeling of checking your phone on a Tuesday and realizing you made $2,000 while you were out grabbing lunch. As you tighten up your tax strategy and stay the course, that momentum carries you toward $280,000 by the end of year 4. The skeptics will still dismiss you, pointing out that you're only a quarter of the way to $1 million, but they're trapped in linear thinking. They don't see the explosion that's about to happen. Phase 3. Explode. The compounding eruption. This is it. Year 5. The explode phase. This is the year where the math goes vertical. Because your base is now so large, approaching $300,000, the 8% or 10% annual returns aren't just nice bonuses. They are massive 5-figure eruptions of wealth. In year 5, your portfolio growth can easily exceed $30,000 a year. Combine that with your $48,000 in annual contributions, and you are adding nearly $80,000 of net worth in a single year. Here is the explosion realization. Even if you aren't at your final $1 million freedom number yet, you have reached coast fire. If you have $350,000 invested by the end of year 5, and you never add another cent, that money will double to $700,000 in about 8 years. It will double again to $1.4 million in another 8. By finishing year 5, you have effectively bought your retirement. You have done the heavy lifting. The explosion isn't just about the number on the screen. It's about the fact that your contributions have become the minority. The market is now the primary driver of your wealth. For those with higher incomes or even more aggressive savings rates, the financial mutants shoveling $6,000 a month, year 5 is often the year you actually hit the target. You cross the $500K or $600K mark, and with a lean lifestyle, you are officially, functionally, and mathematically free. The 5-year sprint worked because you refused to let the flat part of the curve discourage you. You understood that the explosion only happens if the foundation is solid. The valley of death. If this math is so simple, why isn't everyone doing it? Why is the 40-year grind still the norm? Because most people die in the valley of death during the first 24 months of phase 1. It's the social pressure of seeing your friends buy the new SUV. It's the doubt that creeps in when the market has a bad month and your 40K balance drops to 35K despite your hard work. It's the comparison trap of the modern world. The people who reach early retirement aren't necessarily the smartest or the highest earners. They are the ones who can look at a flat line on a graph and see the vertical spike that's coming 3 years later. You have to be willing to be misunderstood for 5 years so you can be unrestricted for 40. You have to realize that the compounding curve is invisible in real time. You can only see the explosion when you're standing on the other side of it. 5 years, 60 months, 1,825 days. That is all that stands between you and a life where work is a choice, not a requirement. The 2-3-5 strategy works because it respects the laws of mathematics. It builds the machine, it accelerates the snowball, and it lets the explosion happen. But it only works if you start the clock. I want you to do 2 things right now. 1. Calculate your freedom number. Don't guess. Pull up your bank statements, find your annual expenses, and multiply by 25. 2. Drop that number in the comments below. By typing that number, you are making it real. You are moving it from a fantasy to a target. And for the next 5 years, that number is your North Star. If you're worried about the first phase, if you don't know how to start that build phase without feeling overwhelmed, you need to watch our video on If You're Broke, This $20 Trick Changes Everything next. It will show you exactly which dollar goes where. The 40-year career is a choice. Today, I hope you choose the 5-year sprint. I'll see you in the comments.